Welcome to Civitai.com, the home of the generative AI art community. If you enjoy this video, please consider hitting us with a like and subscribing, as it'll go a long way in helping us continue to bring you the highest quality AI community content. Please enjoy the video. We are here for a slightly earlier special stream today. We have a special guest, Ann Horel from the Civitai AiR, or the Civitai Artist in Residence program. And today we are also joined by Chris, our Civitai AiR director.
So the Civitai Artist in Residence program is really focused on engaging artists, some of whom may not even be AI natives, but contemporary artists who are working, kind of full-time working artists, getting them into the program to really expand the horizons on what these tools can do, conceptually and technically, and really just expand the boundaries of AI generation today. So we've had about 15 artists go through the program now. You can get more information on the program on air.civitai.com. That's our subdomain. And you can actually see work in progress. Each artist is given a studio. And so you can check out their Figma board where they post in progress works, inspiration, thoughts, processes, workflows, etc. You can check all of their different studios out live on the website at any time. So that brings us to Anne, who's joining us from Paris.
Hello.
Anne's been in the program for, gosh, I think almost 2 months now. So this is getting close to the culmination of her stay here.
Sadly.
Yeah. And she's been focused on a number of really interesting things, most notably working towards an exhibition at Julie Carreda Gallery in Paris, who she's represented by. I believe you're curating that show as well, right?
Yeah, I'm co-curating with Ines Alpha, who is also a digital artist based in Paris.
Nice. And specifically in the AiR program, she's been focused on reinterpreting this series of masks, AI-generated masks that she's made, which are kind of an encapsulation of your sort of maximalist digital style that you've developed over the years. But I guess I'll let you talk a little bit more about that.
Oh my God, where do I even begin? Yeah, it's been the latest. When I say the latest, it might have been maybe the last few weeks that I've been playing around training these new LoRa's. But before that, I was kind of in a despair mode because these creatures I've been making were built with the experimental model from OpenAI to go from DALL-E 2 to DALL-E 3. And when they launched DALL-E 3, the model disappeared. And I was really big despair because I love that model so much. But lucky for me, I have like a very obsessive mind. So I generated a bunch of creatures, almost maybe 40,000 creatures. So I have like a good base to train a LoRa. So that's what I've been doing lately to kind of like resuscitate these creatures. And I don't know, anyone who does AI knows the wow effects of when you generate images and you have like, oh my God, it feels just so good and so satisfying to see these creatures coming back in my vision. But yeah, that's the latest. And throughout this 2 months, a lot happened. Chris, we discussed so many things.
Yes. Yeah.
Before we go any forward, just so we can highlight a really important point of something you just said there, that is something that is, if not one of the main reasons, but the best reason, if you are someone who relies on closed source AI tools where you cannot install it locally, you don't actually have the model installed on your system or saved anywhere. You're kind of always going to be at the mercy of when the overarching entity decides they want to update or change the model, assuming they don't leave the old one somewhere for you to access. Because I can't tell you how many times that even with something as open as Comfy UI, I've updated it, and a node has broken, and that node was something that I didn't even know was like super instrumental to the things I was currently creating at that time. And then you spend 2 or 3 days having to figure out a rebuild or a workaround to get back to where you just were. So it's really cool that like you had to go through that and get to your back to your style, or to like the next iteration of your style through the model changing on you.
Absolutely. And I think about that constantly. And actually, this is a good transition to maybe the Figma board. The fact that, so I've been a digital artist for 15 years. I've been working on a bunch of different tools, and I've experimented the death of Vine. I used to be a big Viner. And I was younger, and when Vine disappeared, my audience disappeared. I had like over 200,000 followers there, a lot of billions of views on my Vines, and this all disappeared. And it was not only a platform; it was also a tool. You know, you could just like create throughout the platform. And this might have been the biggest lesson I've ever experienced as a digital artist: the fact that you do it for the Vine, yes. You depend on the platforms you post on. If tomorrow Instagram decides to shut down, like what are we, you know, where our stuff is like, what is the property of data? Like, this is like a big question around also AI. And I think the dependency that we have on these platforms and these models in AI is something we should think about a lot, because it's still very gray's area. We kind of like all artists who use AI tools know that thing, but it's not something that is it's up in the air. It's not something that where there is any answer. You know what I mean? Unless I did what I do, like with training my model with the ancient outputs, which leads me to where I wanted to begin. The fact that I kind of like archive everything I do, like I screen capture everything. I've been using many different tools, and this is kind of like not only archivist mode, but also kind of like archaeologist of the present time. And that's something that is kind of like at the core of my practice. Like, I want to document as much as I can the digital culture and the way it's evolving.
That is a very cool way to think about it and phrase it. An archaeologist of the, yeah, I like that.
I mean, think about it. Now we're basically able to, you know, make woolly mammoths live again, but like in a digital sense, right? We're able to recreate the past and reinterpret this digital past, breathe new life into it by training our own models and being able to run them on any style from the past, on any character or content from the past. You know, we can reanimate.
Yeah, and that was possibly the entrance for all of this residency. So there are a few things. There is an exhibition in November, and there is the fact that I want to give digital arts a physicality. So the entrance was to make objects out of these creatures that I make. So the first thing I wanted to do is to make plushes. That it has been like kind of like a fantasy for so many years, and it's unfortunately didn't work. So the entire residency was also rebouncing on stuff that weren't possible because the designs were too intense or too hard to do. Because when I reached out to this fabricant for the plushes, they were like, "Oh my God, there are too many details. We will never have the exact same thing, and unless I collaborate with an artist that makes handmade plushes, there is no way I will have the amount of details that I have here."
They are okay. The middle one is very cute. The other two would have to go in the closet when it's time to go to bed.
I don't know why you say that.
So when you say did you is there like a place that you tried to contact to make the plushies, or were you trying to make them yourself, or how did that process kind of like go to a point where you realized that, okay, maybe right now this can't happen?
We reached out to two different fabricants, and they one of the websites is doodle.com, and they turn any supposedly any drawing into plushes.
Drawing, not even a 3D model. It could be a drawing.
It can be a drawing, like it's mainly kids drawing, which is really cool. But it wasn't possible, and then I wanted to rebounce as fast as I could to just like, you know, keep the ideas flowing. And this is how I work. If something doesn't work, and if it's not fluid and easy, I just like go with the flow, and I'm like, okay, let's move on to something else, unless it's something I really want to do, and it's like and I have time to do it, and you know, everything. But this wasn't the case, and again, I have the deadline of the exhibition in November, and we need to have everything kind of like this. Now we are discussing the pieces that we are going to see in November. So it's already in 1 month, which is very, very soon.
Yeah.
So I've
one, right, was
sorry.
What failure number one was the plushes.
Failure number one was the plushes. And then, so I gathered a few options with like different kind of designs. I have one series with like denim, but I kind of like, my dream would be to have a collaboration with like Levi's. I don't know. It's Levi's in French, but I think it's Levi's in English. Like to make them like an actual mask, and I would love to see that, like people wearing it on runways with like a full denim outfit. I think it would look really rad.
I mean that really sounds like that's where physically your stuff makes sense to live, is on people's faces at like high fashion events.
Yeah, or like just, you know, weird like bal masqué or something like that, you know. I would love to imagine that.
So these were all generated in Stable or in
DALL-E,
DALL-E. Okay.
The experimental model that doesn't exist anymore. So
gotcha.
There are a few series. There is the denim one. There is like the fruits and veggies. There is a mineral one that I would love to see made in like real gemstones, like lapis lazuli and malachite and jasper. But it's another kind of budget. I would need like a mentorship from, I don't know, like a jewelry brand or something.
We got a question on Twitch that says, can you see through these masks? Like
they don't exist yet. I've turned them into AR filters, so you can in the virtual world, but in the physical world, not yet. But I've 3D printed one of them, and that's the next step. And I don't have it now. It's supposed to be shipped by the end of the week. But there are holes for the eyes, so you can see through. You can actually wear them. Thank you for the really cool stuff. It's really kind.
There's even a little more detail if we can get a little closer to some of these, especially with the new generations, the model, the LoRa that you trained on.
Oh yeah, that's another story. Like if we go, if we zoom out from this, these are, underneath, these are my, the output I got with my own LoRa's on Civitai.
Okay, so this is what you trained with Flux in the Civitai trainer.
Yeah.
Using the DALL-E 2 images, the archive she had.
That's a cool comment right there.
Yeah, that's my vision. Or even like the show Sweet Tooth on Netflix, like something like that, like a sci-fi hybrid TV show on Netflix. That could be amazing to have like the mask as costumes in a series or something.
So going through the process of training the FLUX LoRa, because prior to coming into AIR, you hadn't really messed with the open source side of things yet,
No,
correct?
never.
So how one, tell us about your experience training the LoRa on the site, and two, how was it seeing these outputs and knowing now that you have like this model that you can pocket, that you can just make these things on and combine with other things?
So the process to train was really easy. I was expecting something complicated, and I was like, oh, I was like too lazy to get into it. But then Chris showed me like in a few click how to train, and I was like, oh, it seems pretty easy and intuitive. So that was an easy part and a fun part, and I want to train more. Like I've been again like obsessing this past few days, so I think there are going to be more. I want to train one with the tarot cards, for example, or like stuff that I really like, and then seeing them coming through was such a huge, intense pleasure. So, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like I've just started playing with them, and these are the first outputs. But if you go a little bit down, there are my favorites that I've classified by colors. Just underneath, yes, right here. And I've been messing around with Luma to animate them, and they look really like I've been working on a series called Conjuring, which echoes the actual state of the world, which is chaotic and insane. And I kind of like imagine these creatures, and that's always been the feeling with these creatures, even in Dali, the fact that they are kind of like apparitions of divinities. I see them as kind of like a mythology of our time. I have no idea how it took so long to just find the right prompt in Dali to have them come to life. And now I only have the images, and I can just train, and I've trained the LoRa, so I can have them come through. But it's still the same imagination that I have behind that they could be, entities from the warrior world, and they just travel throughout this network, and they just come to send a message or be kind of like magical beings. And when they get animated, they are really intense. I mean, they are really intense. Obviously, like it's not minimalist at all, and they are quite intense. There's something in the eye or in their presence that is kind of uncanny, but also kind of magical. And that's my overall view about AI. I think AI is pure magic. But these are like, there is something about them that I wanted to use as a digital spell to kind of like conjure the negativity and the evil happening right now.
Sorry, Chris. I really like the backgrounds with them, as opposed to like the just the mask on, like the mask on the white feels like exactly that. It feels like a mask, right? It feels like you're displaying like an art piece, whereas all of these, with the context, even as little context as the background is, because they're taking up so much of the frame, it feels like it breathes the actual life into them.
Yeah, and that's something that has been pretty new in my practice, to add some context and some background. And especially because all summer I've been working on a short movie where I needed to have context and environments, not just portraits. But I'm not a good storyteller. Like this is not what I'm looking. And I've never been a good storyteller, even when I was in art school and the teachers were asking for the story behind my piece. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I just made this. Ta-da!
I feel like this guy just walked out of Burning Man.
Yeah.
They all look like they're out of Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing to comment on, though, on when you're talking about sort of what the meaning might be or why they were made. I mean, there's this long tradition of mask making all throughout the world. I mean, from African masks, Greek and Roman masks, pre-Columbian, like Mesoamerican masks and ceremonial masks,
Yeah.
Japanese kabuki theater, like everything, like every culture has a mask tradition pretty
Yes.
much. And then those traditions have been reinterpreted over the time by artists, like Pablo Picasso and, et cetera, other surrealists and cubists. So it's like there's this strong lineage of masks in all throughout art across the world. And that's, I think, why it speaks to me, at least, in such a strong way. Like, it feels like this is embedded in like our human tradition, like an extension of it into the AI realm. So if I could just put a little bit of like historical context around it, I think it's a really smart kind of extension. And I think there's something so powerful in limiting to just the mask, because we talk about this so much, Anne, like there's so many potential like possibilities when you're generating an image, but to just limit it to these masks, it's quite a beautiful gesture to keep it so focused yet so diverse. It's hard to limit yourself.
Yeah.
So
have you tried generating them in different scenarios at all and seeing how those came out?
For now, no. It's just I'm just focusing on the portraits and experimenting with textures, and just finding out what are the keywords that are working the best. I really like these two over there, like the kind of like lion, or the pink one that is really, really intense, looks like an animal. This one. And the one next to it with the like kind of like lava skin. I kind of want to experiment with the skin as well, not just like fur, but also like textures on the skin. And these level of detail are like, it's even better than Dali. Like, it just like it just took it to another level. And for now, I'm just experimenting with this, but there will definitely will be stories and more context, and maybe like adding them bodies. I don't know what their body look like.
But this at least kind of, I feel like Flux gave you some cool type of idea of what the body potentially looks like, right? Because it kind of added the context all around the face. But yeah, no, this is compared to everything you showed us just a couple weeks ago on the Airstream. These look really, really great.
Thanks. Yeah, I love them. And for this exhibition, I don't know how they will come out. There is an idea of printing them in oil. I don't know. Maybe it will be possible.
Let's talk about that too. I think there's two activations we're working towards, right? The one is like you mentioned, we're actually starting a partnership with Matter Labs, and they have developed technology similar to like the Axie Draw, where you can, have an algorithmic drawing made by a real pencil, machine drawing, but they've done it for oil paint, and it's their own proprietary technology and algorithms that translate any image into a machine-made oil paint. And because it's made in oil, every single one is unique. Even though it's sort of like a hand-painted object, it's still kind of an addition. Every single one has flaws and differences. So we're looking at producing one of these new images as an oil painting, which I think is going to be amazing to really test the limits of that capability, or of the capabilities of that technology. But then we're also going to release a series of t-shirts with the masks, the original masks on them. And those will actually be available in our Civitai shop by the end of the week. So look out for those. We'll be sending a link out in the newsletter probably tomorrow.
Yes, I'm excited for this. And they are limited edition. And I think you can find some of the models at the top of this is here. We've been experimenting with 3D printing as well. There is a 3D printed mask that is coming very soon. The second fail was to attempt a bronze sculpture made of 3D prints. but the costs is too intense for the moment. So also the idea behind selling these limited T-shirts would also cover the costs of pushing it even further, and that's something I'm quite excited about.
Yeah.
And then the third obstacle, and I think it's the final obstacle that we met, is that I wanted these T-shirts to be AR T-shirts
Yeah.
with MetaSpark. I don't know if some of the viewers here used to use MetaSpark, but Meta just announced a few weeks ago that they are shutting down the AR like they're shutting down MetaSpark. So in January, all of the filters,
Yep.
like the 200 filters I've made over these 4 last years, are going to disappear. The story repeats again. So I've learned my stuff with Vine. I'm just like going through this again with MetaSpark. So again, a reminder that the technology is here until it is not.
Until it's not. Exactly.
Now, while you might not be able to use them anymore on Instagram, I feel like there are ways to do sort of more custom implementations of AR, right? Like just through your, can't you trigger it just in your Apple camera? I was actually just so anyway, we should talk about that maybe offline.
Yeah. No, there are other ways, and Meta just announced the AR glasses. I have here the spectacles. Snapchat just released. So there are some devices that are going to replace this for AR experiences, and I'm pretty excited about it. But I think it's a little too early to just like rush into it. I just want to test the water before, and I will definitely look into these technologies because that's what I do. But I'm waiting a little bit.
Yeah, the thing that someone in the chat pointed out is that a lot of the mask, maybe not these up here, so these designs look definitely look a lot simpler than what we saw below with the FLUX LoRas, right? Is that
Yeah.
because it's easier to manufacture or to like do the 3D prints with the simpler designs, or because all the masks we just saw below down here look like they would be very complicated to
Yes.
manufacture.
Not even imagine printing them. Like they will be like walls all over the way. No, actually, these were made with DALI 2. So they are like more simple. The outputs are really good, but it's DALI 2. It's not. It's for these 4 images at the top. It's DALI 2, and then the shrimp mask that is like right next to it, the one that I'm printing in 3D, was made with the experimental model, but it has a good level of details. It was I sent it for printing, and they were like, "Oh, it's too complicated." And then I sent it again to another printer, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay." So it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I will have this. I will have this mask eventually. But yes, the big ones might be a little complicated, but I don't know, maybe just like experimenting by buying myself a 3D printer and just like going through experimentation, maybe pieces after pieces. I had the idea also I do ceramics, so maybe just print like a very simple design and then add some ceramics details on top of it, or clay, or different kind of other fabric, different kind of textures.
Yeah.
To give them more texture than just like something that is 3D printed and very like simplistic in a way.
I think at this point, with how far you've gone with everything, it probably is a very worthwhile investment for you to get your own 3D printer for, if nothing else, get like a base prototype made. And then if you find something that you then want to take further, then refine that yourself, ship it off to a manufacturer that can then do a more complete job for you. But
yeah, absolutely.
the 3D printer for you locally where you can play with this stuff on your own definitely sounds like something that you need to do.
Yeah, I need a bigger apartment. And if you go a little bit further on the right, you will find I've made some tests with like a pizza model, and a little bit more further on the right, I've printed them in resin and I've turned them into necklaces. So that's another test, and I'm obsessed with this. I think they look really cool, and I just tested new colors. I have like a glow in the dark red coming in the mail very soon. So I just want to experiment with the different materials and colors, but I will definitely sell these at some point. I don't know when and how and where and how much, but there will be definitely an edition of pizza themed necklaces.
So there's a really great suggestion from the Twitch chat right there. Is you could possibly maybe even find someone on Etsy to partner with on this, because there are a lot of people on there that are very good at very niche things.
It's true. It's very true, and the internet is amazing for this, for amazing people good with niche.
So is there a story behind the pizza? Is there a specific draw to the pizza character?
So on Vine, I was known as the pizza girl. Like I used to pizzify pretty much everything. So, and when I started making other kind of animations, people were completely lost, and I was like, "Sorry, guys, I need to move on." But I still have like pizza. A pizza shaped hole in my heart. Like I always, this is my go-to stuff when I'm missing inspiration. I'm like, oh, let's do something about pizza, and it always works. I don't know. I just love the shape. I just the name of pizza is the same everywhere. You can say pizza in the US, in France, in Italy, or in Japan. Everybody understands pizza. I just think it's cool and fun and delicious.
So let me just what you just said about Vine, about for a little while being known as the pizza girl. In the wider view of things, what do you feel about social media in general and being a creative these days, when it's so hard to get lightning to strike and to get some fire to catch on something you create on social, and to get that bit of virality? Like it really is difficult as an artist if you're not doing low hanging fruit type of stuff. And sometimes someone will make something that is relatively simple, or maybe even you just thought it was funny, right? And that's the thing that catches fire, not the stuff that you are really in love with that you're doing. So then there's this pressure to keep pressing that button, right? To keep kind of activating that group of people, because now you have all these new people following you that followed you for the pizza or for whatever that thing was. And you feel a little backed into the corner, because the second you start to do something new, then it's like, oh, what is this?
I hate it so much.
What's your view on that scenario? Because that happens a lot with social nowadays.
I don't know why it's always like that. I don't know why whenever I'm working with a client, or anyone is working with a client, you send 3 propositions, the client will always pick the one that you like the least. There is some kind of like, but seriously, like, isn't it like universal?
Oh, it's funny because it's true.
Right? I don't know. It's just crazy. And I just started making everything about pizza just for fun. And it just worked. And then I was like, okay, this is fun and it's working. So I'm just going to continue. And now all of my vines are turned into GIFs on Giphy, and I have like 2.3 billion views on my GIFs. But most of the GIFs are pizza stuff.
It's also an
whatever.
opportunity though. Like, let's think about it like this. So maybe you turn it on its head. Like, you are a leading indicator for your own art career, for your own image. So it's like, by definition, whatever you're doing at the moment is not going to make sense to other people around you until they get used to it and it becomes less interesting to you, right? But that's an
So true.
opportunity to constantly be paving a new path for yourself. But it does get annoying. I see what you're saying.
Here's the way that I like to look at that, to give some positive context to it, is, say one specific thing gets a couple 100,000 people in the door for you, and as you move on from that thing that got them in the door, only a small percentage really keep up with your new stuff. That's still an extra 10 or 20,000 people that will now see the work that you are proud of, that you want to make, than would have before you made the thing that everyone loved, that isn't something that you really want to keep doing.
I think that's a matter of creative people are like visionaries, and they're always like, they're proposing a vision of something that is like a little bit ahead of the time. So when the audience or people are catching up, it's not too late, but you're already somewhere else,
Exactly.
because the time you catch the vision, you embody the vision with your art, you already moved on. It's already done because it's materialized as an image, a painting, or whatever. But you're already to the next thing. So, I mean, to me, the most important thing is that keep the pleasure running in your veins when you're creating is the most important thing. And if it goes viral, if you get attention, it's great. It's a fantastic bonus. But it doesn't make anything. It can disappear overnight, just as it came, and I think, the most important part is to keep creating with as much pleasure as you can.
Can I ask both Tyler and Ann, is this situation or this scenario that we're talking about getting better or worse with the speed of technology?
I'd say it's part of the blessing and the curse of where we
Exactly.
are right now. Because even personal experience recently, I didn't want to be the dancing pancake food guy.
A little bit though, right?
It's been a fun thing to lean into, but like the one silly thing that I made on a whim over a weekend that I was just laughing at the entire time I made it because it was so silly, went crazy, and then that ended up being my entire persona for the past like 90 months. I mean 90 days.
You were a pancake boy, just like Ann was pizza girl, right?
Is that we have to play our roles sometimes. but
Right.
but at the same time, now as I go back to experimenting with stuff that I really want to be making, there's more people to see that, even if it's a small percentage of the people that came for the pancakes.
Yeah. Come for the pancakes, stay for the art, folks.
And we have to tempt them in with food and then serve them the substance.
It's a true thirst trap when it's a drink. So, food and drink.
And also, like, to complete your question and the answer, I think it's this, like, we are part of a generation where we didn't have social media. Like, I didn't grow up with social media. I grew up with I saw the birth of the internet, but I grew up with television, and technologies and accessibility to smartphone is getting easier and easier. It wasn't like it's getting faster, and the access to creative tools, open source, and tools that are enabling people to create easily and then to publish them and put it out there is it's getting easier and easier and easier. And also, so I think it's as you said, it's the blessing and the curse, but I love thinking about that. I have access to so much creativity in the world, like without any frontier. Like and that's something I've experimented with AR. Like I see people on my TikTok filters, I see people from all over the world using my filters and making videos with it. This is insane. Like I have people from villages like in India making videos with their kids with like my filters with these crazy weird monsters, and I'm like, this is insane. Like this is I love being in museums and galleries. It's a good recognition. It's nice and everything. But knowing that my art is traveling with outside of the walls of galleries and people have access to it and just can have fun with it is the real magic.
So here's a question for you, because in the same breath, everything that you just said about the ease of access we have to so much creativity anytime we want to be to like get that coming to us, as someone who obviously creates so much of their vision and something that looks like it is uniquely you, how do you keep from all of the stuff that is constantly kind of like
Yep.
flowing into us from overpowering your own voice? And like how do you keep yourself from being so influenced by the sheer amount of stuff that you see on a daily basis?
I think I'm constantly influenced by everything I see all the time. But I also managed to sorry, my cat is scratching. I'm also there are some phases in the creative life. Sometimes I need to nourish and I need to just like lay down and not being creative at all and just like watch movies and series and go to the movies and go outside and travel. And sometimes I'm just in creative mode and I'm just only doing this. And so I feel there are some phase where I'm gathering informations and kind of like taking everything, and then like the no face monster in Spirited Away, like I'm just like eating everything I can, and then the creative process is the digestion.
Yeah.
And then and in that time of digestion I cannot ingest anything. Like I've been very creative this past this summer, this past month, and there is no way you can put me before like watching a screen. Like the only way I can watch a movie is going to the movies. Like if I watch something on Netflix or whatever, I can stay. I'm like I get bored too easily, so I need to go on my computer and make some images because I'm still in that phase of creativity. But that's just me, and that's how I manage the different waves.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, makes sense. Makes total sense. I did see something else at the bottom of the Figma board here with the trained Allure with all four artists
Yes.
artwork for the show. Is that something we want to show and talk about, or are we?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because it's
okay.
been very interesting as well. So the show in November is with 4 artists, including me, Tiggy Thorn, Bora Murmure, Ines Alpha, and me. And we are working around like the digital bodies and how we incarnate the digital bodies. And we all have a practice of digital to physical. Tiggy is doing kind of like this makeup drag that is he's actually wearing this, but he's also implementing some 3D around it. Bora is 3D mainly, but also doing performance art. And they are also printing a lot of big sculpture in 3D in resin. Ines is a model for her own videos, and she's making also like devices you can wear. She's into like digital fashion and digital makeup. And then there is me. That I think we've talked enough about me. But I wanted to train this LoRa with our work. And for my part, I wanted something that was kind of like showing everything I've been doing with AI lately. So it's kind of like a mix. And then the idea is to create a hybrid of all of our work combined. and for the visual of the exhibition. So that would be the poster of the exhibition. And then we have a room underneath. So upstairs will be our work, and under we will have like kind of like a cave where these hybrid creatures will be animated and kind of like live their own life. Yeah, so that's what is going on here.
So here's a really cool question from Twitch. Do you pick the color palette for each mask, or have you kind of left that up to the model?
I left it to the model. Like I love to leave as much creativity and freedom to any model I use in AI. I'm like very open to collaboration with AI. I think it's the most important part. And the colors are pretty bright in the data I use for the training. So I was like, there is no need to say that there will be colors because it's pretty obvious. I guided more for the textures because there are a lot of different textures. We haven't decided yet which one we are going to pick, but these ones are my favorite outputs.
Yeah, no, these are really cool. So these are all trained with Flux on the styles of the 3 other artists combined with yours.
Yes. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I think they look really cool.
How so for this LoRA and for the mask one, how large was the data set that you used for Flux? Like, how many images did you gather to feed into the trainer?
The data I used is the one you just saw next to it, so it's not a lot. It's maybe 4 or 5 images per artist.
Dude, it's so crazy how good it can do with like just such few, like.
Because the style is very strong. So I feel like when you have strong images and strong visuals, you don't need to add too much, and it just understands very quickly.
Yeah. So a lot of questions about this. This is a good one. Do you have a list of keywords for textures that you experiment with?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like there is a fur texture, and if you look carefully at the images, you have fur, and I like to use that's for me in my in most of my prompts. I like to use minerals, like gemstones, because they have like very cool textures, and they not only have textures, but they also have patterns. So you can always get like a very smooth result, but also with like very cool pattern, because the earth is the best artist ever. The universe is the best artist ever. And so you have like very good stuff out there in the ground.
This one is crazy. This one. Yeah. So someone in the chat asks, how can I view these images? They want to see them in full HD.
Let's drop a link to the studio.
To the Figma board?
Yeah, you can see them, the Figma board. Obviously, because it's a combination of 4 artists, I cannot take the liberty to just like put it out there. And that's a big question we've been talking about with Chris about like the ownership in AI, which is a big subject in AI. For now, the model is not public, and I don't know if it ever will be, because I need the agreement of everyone, and everyone needs to agree that their work will be out there. And even if it's not their work, it's our work combined. Maybe it can become like a collective. I don't know. There are like a few questions we need to solve before it's public, but it's out there. It's.
Chris, can you drop me a link to the studio, and we'll link to that? Just throw it in the private chat at the bottom of our restream. And someone asked earlier too if your LoRA, the one for your mask, would ever be made public for people to mess around and generate with?
I don't know. I don't know. No, it's complicated. It's not an easy thing, and when you are an artist and when you publish your art online, you are constantly naked. You're very vulnerable. As an artist, you're very vulnerable. Like, you're a very fragile thing. And I always say that artists always have a problem of ego. It's either you have too much or too little. But at the end of the day, it makes you very vulnerable beings. So putting your work out there is already an act of bravery, and it's an act of like giving out. And I don't know if I'm ready to give even more by just like putting this model out there, because in some ways it will depossess me from something that I've created. And it's not something. There is the part of the archive that comes back again. Like, there is no way, and I've tried with many different models, I can find these images in any model. That was like I grieved that model like a long time before finding this solution of training my own. So am I ready for now? No. Will I ever be ready? I don't know. I think it's an up in the air question, which is touching a very wider question about AI art and ownership and territory and creativity and open source versus gallery work. Because, and that's something we've been talking about like a few days ago with Chris. Like, putting your work on the internet is for free. It's out there, it's for free. And I've been part of this digital artist scene that I've posted. NFT didn't exist. And when NFTs arrived, it was like, oh, we found a solution for you to have like an authentication and you can sell your work. But it's not solving the problem at all, because if you want to make enough money to make a living with NFTs, that's, like, hold on, and also the bubble is kind of like bubbling down. So we never know. Again, it's a matter of like, you depend on technologies that are fluctuating, and it's not safe at all. And as an artist, you're vulnerable also because nothing is ever safe. You can be like very famous for a second and then not famous anymore. Yeah. Your work can work, and also your work doesn't work anymore. You made pizza stuff, people love it. You don't do pizza stuff and people hate it. It's like, it's a lot to handle. And having these images and being able to sell them, in galleries and stuff, this is my added value. You know what I mean? And if I put it public, what does it become? I don't have an answer now, but what does it become? You know what I mean?
Hey, nope. You, at least for me, you are preaching to the choir, and I think this is this is a part that
Exactly.
that it gets difficult to talk about, especially with the community, right? Because the community is very share. However, there are some things where like you put so much time and effort and energy into finding your way to this thing you now have to just it's hard, man. It's like giving away your baby.
Exactly. And it's not as if you were in high school, like you're the trendy. I was never the trendy girl in high school, but I imagine being the trendy girl in high school. I was a little bit, but not that much. And then you're wearing like one stuff, and then the next day everybody is wearing it. Like, and at the end of the day, everybody is forgetting that you were the first. I don't mind, I don't care if I was the first to wear like a pink jacket or whatever, but the fact that I just disappear into the mass is the opposite that I want to be, like I don't want to blend in. I don't want to be normal. Like I've never wanted to be normal. I like the weird. I like being an alien. Like this is my value, you know. And if it's accessible, if my alienness is accessible for people to just embody it, how do I authentify that I'm the one, you know, that I'm the alpha alien, you know what I mean? So I think it's funny because on Saturday I'm invited to a talk and we are talking about ownership with AI. And I think it's such a gray area for so many reasons. And we need to talk about it as much as we can.
I think what you're kind of touching on too is that it's not just about ownership and financial transactions, but it's more about identity, like true your purpose in life as an individuated human. Like, who are you? And if people can all of a sudden embody you, your identity is under threat.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
It's really tricky, where we want to be open and supportive and encourage other people to come along, but it's like, let me be me as well, you know?
And also, you know, like it takes some work to be yourself and to accept yourself and to pave your way into, like, I took risks in my life. Like I've been standing in front of people who were like, yeah, this is too weird, or this is too whatever, or this is not enough, or whatever. And I stood up for myself, and it took so much effort. And I'd rather, and I do that when I teach, when I do workshops and stuff, I'd rather encourage people to find their own voice instead of using somebody else's voice, because this is taking your identity away from you. And this is a very important word that you said, identity. And instead of blending in and trying to fit in the codes or whatever, just find your own codes and fight for it.
Yep. Nope. I agree. I agree. And I feel like these are conversations that will have to be had even more going forward. And it doesn't get as black and white as just like open source would want it to be. I mean, very, very few things in life are as black and white as everyone would like to believe they are, right? So, and this, I think this is definitely one of them.
And we'll probably be talking about more. By the way, we're having another AiR Artist Roundtable tomorrow, just to kind of wrap up here. I know that we're at the top of the hour, but tomorrow at the same time, we're going to have all of the active AiR artists in conversation with one another. And I really hope to talk about some of these same issues, get everybody's perspective, also talk about everybody's work, of course. And then the goal is to then translate that conversation we have tomorrow into an editorial I'm writing for a brand new AI magazine that we're partnering with to launch, which is coming up soon as well. So
awesome. Well, in closing, Ann, Chris, do you guys let people know and where they can find you once again? And are you going to be with us again tomorrow with the rest of the group? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Big pleasure.
So yeah, so let everyone know where they can find you if they want to look even more into your stuff, where they can keep up with you on a regular basis.
Basically on all social. I'm more active on Instagram, and that's my name is my handle everywhere. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
I put your link tree in the chats for everyone.
There we go. Perfect.
All the links. There are too many links, guys. Go look at her link tree and go to whichever platform speaks to you the most.
Yep.
Exactly.
Just to reiterate, we're going to be launching this limited edition of 4 designs, 4 t-shirts coming out tomorrow. The link will be in our newsletter. It's going to be on shop.civitai.com. That's our merch site. It's going to be hosted there. So if you're interested in her work, you can buy one of the limited edition t-shirts. It's going to be 25, limited to an edition of 25 per design. So 4 designs, 100 in total. They're going to go fast. It's $30 a pop, and you can buy one of her works.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, as soon as we have that link, Chris, we will make sure that we push that out on all of our socials. And yeah, Ann, thank you. As always, it was a pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. The FLUX LoRA looks amazing. So congratulations on that, because now it is yours and you own it, and you can make and mash that up with anything else that you get inspired by and you make from this point on. So congratulations on that. We will see you again tomorrow. Guys, we will be back here tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific, for a special Civitai AiR roundtable with the rest of the Civitai AiR cohort. Just as a reminder, please go to Chris,
air.civitai.com is our website.
And he keeps that updated. Sorry. Go on.
Sorry, yeah, keep it updated with weekly. I write weekly updates about what the artists are doing in the studio or in the program. You can look at any one of their studios, live. Look at their Figma board, just like we were looking at Ann's. You can look at any one of the, I think, 8 artists that are active in the program now and what they're doing at any given time. Right there, air.civitai.com.
Make sure you guys go check out that website just as much as you check out regular Civitai, because it is always being updated. And feel free to apply to be a part of one of our Civitai AiR cohorts as well, because we are always looking to mix it up with different groups of artists from all over the place. So, guys, this has been a Civitai creator session featuring Ann Horel and Chris, our Civitai AiR director. We will see you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific for the Civitai AiR roundtable. I will be back at 3 p.m. Pacific today for our regular AI video and animation stream. And yeah, guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you all later.